Clockwork, or All Wound Up, by Phillip Pullman. So Prince Otto went straight to the princess and persuaded her that a few days' hunting, some brisk exercise in the forest, would do the little child a power of good. Furthermore, he said, Baron Stelgratz would come too. No harm would come to Florian in the Baron's company. So Prince Otto wrapped the little boy up well and set him in the sledge with Baron Stelgratz beside him, and off they set. But on the way through the forest, as darkness was falling, the sledge was attacked by wolves. Maddened by hunger, the great grey beast poured out of the trees and sprang up at the horses. Prince Otto lashed his whip furiously, and the sledge leapt forward with the wolves tearing after. Prince Florian sat beside the Baron, gripping the side of the sledge, and watched fearfully as the wolf pack raced closer and closer. Baron Stelgratz emptied his rifle at the pack of leaping, slavering beasts, without deterring them in the least, and the sledge bumped and swayed from side to side on the rough track. At any moment they might crash, and then they would all perish. The only thing to do when you're chased by wolves is to throw them something tasty and hope you get away while they eat it. Baron Stelgratz knows this. He's just firing his last bullet. He knows that, too.
"Highness," cried the Baron, "there is only one thing to do, and I do it with all my heart."
And the good old man threw himself off the sledge. To save his friends, he sacrificed himself. Instantly the wild wolves turned on him and tore him to pieces, and the sledge drove on into the silent forest, leaving the snarling, howling beasts far behind. And now, what could Prince Otto do? Drive on was the only answer. Drive on, and hope to find some lonely huntsman or woodcutter, and compensate their family later on. But not a single human being came into view. Behind Prince Otto, the little child, wrapped in furs, was huddled alone on the bouncing seat of the sledge, stiffening, growing colder, changing back into a machine, minute by minute. Occasionally, the movement of the sledge would shake a little song out of him, but he spoke no more. Finally they arrived at the mines of Schatzberg, and the house of the clockwork maker. And there was only one solution. Prince Otto realized that he had to sacrifice himself, and he was ready. The dynasty was more important than anything else, more important than happiness, than love, than truth, than peace, than honor, far more important than his own life. Prince Otto would give up his heart, cold, fanatical, and proud as it was, for the sake of the future glory of the royal house.
"You're quite sure this is what you want?"
said Dr Kalmenius. "Don't argue with me. Take out my heart and put it in my child's breast. It doesn't matter if I die, as long as the dynasty lives." The problem now was not the heart, it was the return. How could the child drive back on his own? So for an extra payment, Dr Kalmenius agreed to animate the dead body of Prince Otto with a small degree of purpose, just enough to drive the sledge back to the palace. The operation was performed. Prince Otto's heart was detached from his breast with subtle instruments and transferred into the weak and failing body of the silver boy. Instantly, a bright flush of health took the place of Prince Florian's metallic pallor. His eyes opened, and a lively vigour spread through all his limbs. He was alive. Meanwhile, Dr Kalmenius prepared a simple piece of clockwork apparatus to put in the breast of Prince Otto. It was very crude. When it was wound up, it would make his body drive to the palace. That was all it would do. But it would do it for a long, long time. If Prince Otto's body had been taken to the other side of the world, he would have set off at once for home, though the flesh rotted and fell off his bones, and would never stop until many years later, when his skeleton drove the sledge into the courtyard with the clockwork ticking in his ribs. So Dr Kalmenius placed the sleeping body of Prince Florian in the sledge, well wrapped up against the cold, and put the whip into the hand of his dead father, who began at once to lash and lash and lash, and the horses, foaming with terror, began their mad gallop homewards. and a strange homecoming they had of it. You might have heard the tale of how the sledge drove in at the palace gates, and how the royal physician found the clockwork heart. The servants whispered about the dead man whose arm wouldn't keep still, and rumours and guesses flew through the palace and the city like shuttles in a loom, weaving a story of corpses and ghosts, of curses and devils, of death and life, and clockwork. But no one knew the truth.